Hi, how's it going, guys? Hey, it's Ronnie, the Wandering Musician. Today, I just finished my performance with the Portuguese band that I play for, based on Tipton, California. We call ourselves Banda Liberdade do Val. I hope I said it well. Excuse my Portuguese, but anyways, it was a pretty cool experience. Did a little march, a little procession from their Portuguese hall to the Catholic Church and back, and this all took place in Hanford. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and focus on my reflection video of week 2, and is basically on one of the articles that I did for my discussion post. So the article is called "Is How About We Write a Song? A Collaborative Songwriting as a Dialogic Space for Literacy Discussion." Um, the author of that article is by Jason J. Griffith. So just a summary of it. Basically, the author, Jason Griffith, organized a last-minute assignment assigned to his students while attending a educators convention. So students were to create a songwriting parody of Bob Dylan's "Like a Rolling Stone" into their own creation based on John Knoll's novel called A Separate Piece, which involved with the antagonist Finney and the protagonist Jean. Basically, Finney, who was very overjealous and envious of Jean, who happens to be very, very talented. They both happen to be in a tree, and he pushes him off, and he falls and breaks his legs in the process. So the class basically came up with a song called "Like a Falling Clone," and we're gonna touch on the 4 dimensions of this collaboration, which made it successful. So we're gonna talk about the collaborative writing, intertextuality, mentor text and parody, and dialogical classroom spaces. So first, we're gonna go ahead and talk about the collaborative writing. So what the author did was he divided the class size of 16 students, divided into 4 groups, and each of the group were assigned a chapter. So the group collaboration within the class was very effective, opposed to the individual student, because not only it enhanced the depth of the excuse me. So the group collaboration within the class was very effective, opposed to the individual students, because not only it enhanced the depth of the comprehension, but also how the students ricochet their ideas, and they emerge as new insights. And furthermore, students continue to feed on each other's ideas, and the groups became more organized, and tasks and roles and responsibilities were distributed effectively within that group, passing down to their responsibilities, and opposed to have one person do all the work typically, right? Okay, so then the next thing I want to talk about is intertextuality. So the concept of that includes the borrowing and transformation of a text, or a reader's referencing on one text and reading it from another. So Griffith class took the pride from the fall context from Like a Rolling Stone to create that song, that parody song "Like a Fallen Clone," which depicts the antagonist Jean's passive and aggressive behavior of pushing Finney off the tree due to his jealousy. So because Finney was very charismatic and talented than Jean, thus his destructive behavior led to Finney's immobilization, right? And with all the hard work, with all the students and the collaboration with each other, the class created the parody. Not only it paralleled Bob Dylan's work, but it also made it effective in their own parody. So the next part I'm going to talk about is the mentor text and parody. So, according to Dorfman and Capelli's definition of mentor text, it is basically piece of literature that we can return again and again as we help our young writers learn how to do what they are not able to do on their own. Okay. So, while students were developing Like a falling clone, the students were able to closely examine the musical structure of the elements of Dylan's lyrics and phrasing by listening and analyzing the karaoke version of Like a Rolling Stone. In the process, they were to come up with their own rhymes and their own lyrics of that song, of Like a Falling Clone. So the next part we'll talk about is the dialogic classroom spaces. So it has 4 key elements. So 1. Students draw from their own experience to inform academic work. 2. A collaborative group discussion that involves different sources and texts. 3. Thinking and reflecting based on the connection within and across different experiences and texts in specific places and time. And 4th is basically reflecting on their listed experiences. The students' experiences in creating Like a Fallen Clone included a balance of formal and informal academic and creative conversations that made the composition possible. So that's pretty cool, right? This group of 16 high school students, and all of this happened under the with the main teacher, Griffith, going on to his little seminar thing, but supervised by the substitute teacher. Hey, they made it happen. So now next we're going to go ahead and move on to the application. So the application of collaborative songwriting could be very useful in creating writing and inventing lyrics. Music selection is something. Music selection for a band currently playing. So currently with my band, with my band ensemble. So what I would do, I would group the sections basically to make it easier. I'm just gonna be I'm gonna have them do it in section. So flutes will be doing one thing, clarinets will do one thing, all the saxes will be doing their own thing, the low reeds will be doing their own thing, trumpets, etc., percussion, etc. And then it'll be led by the section leaders within that section to do that collaborative work. What I would do is, they'll create their own lyrics, based on the trio of John Philip Sousa's El Capitan March. And, they can be very creative, however they want. It could be very comedic, dramatic, epic, or whatever the case may be, right? So the main melody, pa 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 pa. So they can just create like a little lyrics. I got one lyric that popped in my head, and I'm not gonna share that, but it was just an inside joke back in my college years, and it was very I don't want to say it in there, but yeah. So scratch that example, but bringing it back into the reflection. So while the students are collaborating and exchanging their ideas, it's a good way to break away from the rehearsal routine. So the strengths of this article I can talk about is, the songwriting and the collaborating aspect is a good way to have groups engage while making content literacy and writing more accessible. It builds camaraderie within the group as they go through the storming and norming phases in the group. The possibilities are endless with working and parodying many song choices and overwhelming choices of songs and artists and groups. So one thing I do want to modify, so going back to like if I'm going to do it for my class, or if I make that recommendation for other teachers, I would kind of narrow it down. Like if they're working on a piece, or they're doing a choral work, or an or whatever it may be, we just want to narrow it down so we can try to keep the students focused on that part, on that particular repertoire, and do their lyric writing, right? And also managing the time. So one of the weaknesses of this article, while songwriting and collaborating and exchanging ideas within the group is a good way to make content literacy and writing more accessible, it just takes away rehearsal time, and especially most ensembles and most ensembles in general, regardless of grade level. It we rather just spend more time rehearsing and more preparation for performances. However, this could also challenge us music teachers to basically make time for that content, right? And we are capable of doing that. It just requires careful planning in our part. And another thing, another weakness I want to address too, I feel like this would actually work better towards an English class that is geared to creative writing and critical thinking. And again, when doing such a project like this, it's going to require a lot of time and preparation to make this project successful. And then especially typically all I just really focusing is rehearsing on ensembles and not opposed to doing writing assignments. The overall recommendation for this project were to happen, I think it'd be appropriate if I happen to be in a district, so not in my current district, but in a district where there are multiple teachers are co-teaching the band, right? There's some schools that do that. I know Visalia Unified School District does that. They have a co-teacher for almost every grade level, so it'll be more effective. The main teacher would be presenting it, and then while the co-teacher, the assistant teacher, would also mitigate, to make that lesson flow better, right? But it also to really the assistant director would be, helping the teacher with behaviors just to restore order, right? Because it would be very impossible for one teacher to do this alone, right? So the co-teacher, be sure, hey, behaviors are good, keeping the students on task, redirecting them. Hey, are we doing our work? Hey, are we collaborating? Okay, so enough of the side conversations. Again, that's just a classroom management part of that on that. But anyways, that is my reflection for week 2. You guys have a good day. Alrighty. Bye-bye for now.